Now we would like to begin the keynote speech. The keynote speech is going to be given by Mr. Achim Steiner, Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP. It is going to be a video message.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Institute for Global Environmental Studies and Professor Takeuchi for inviting me to speak on the role of nature-based solutions to advance the Sustainable Development Goals and to build forward better from the COVID-19 crisis. The pandemic shines a harsh light on the fractured relationship between nature, health, and well-being at a time when biodiversity is declining at an unprecedented rate. At the United Nations Development Programme, our upcoming 2020 Human Development Report will therefore focus on how we can rekindle our relationship with nature and improve people's lives today and in the future in balance with the planet. At the same time, we must recognize the significant gains that we have made today to protect our planet. Look, for instance, at the fact that we have added 3.4% of land surface and 7% of oceans as new protected areas in the space of just 10 years. However, we need to go even deeper and do much more at the socio-ecological production landscape and seascape levels. That means rethinking our production and consumption systems, and food and agriculture in particular. These areas are the key underlying cause of biodiversity loss, so increased efforts in this area will be fundamental to help conserve ecosystems, foster biodiversity, and tackle climate change. To do this, we need to build upon deep-rooted cultural traditions that show us how we can better manage our planet's precious natural resources. In particular, I believe that the Satoyama Initiative has the power to inspire countries across the globe as they seek new solutions to build forward better from COVID-19. It is a traditional Japanese rural land use system that represents a balanced relationship between human beings and nature. Indeed, I have always personally admired the Japanese concept of Satoyama and Satoumi, a ridge-to-reef concept where the livelihoods of mountain and coastal communities intersect and coexist with nature. In this respect, I am once again reminded of the story of a Japanese oyster farmer, Mr. Hatewama, who was concerned about the water quality in his local bay, recognizing that its condition was dependent on the rivers that feed it and in the forests and mountains that feed those rivers. He reached the conclusion that for one to farm healthy oysters, one needs to care for the forest to have a clean and healthy sea. As a token of respect to the farmers and foresters for subsequently taking care of the forest, Mr. Hatewama went upstream and thanked them by offering them an oyster. Such cultural traditions and the concept of society living in harmony with nature are clearly reflected in the Aichi biodiversity targets, where Japan played a critical lead role. Indeed, during the recent UN Summit on Biodiversity, many heads of state committed to a New Deal for nature and a One Health approach that unifies human, animal, and environmental health. UNDP is implementing the One Health approach on the ground, including through the Community Development and Knowledge Management for the Satoyama Initiative program, thanks to funding from the Japan Biodiversity Fund. This program, which is implemented through the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, works on more than 200 community projects in 20 countries. It aims to increase social, ecological, and climate resilience in both landscapes and seascapes. To give just one concrete result of our efforts working together with indigenous communities and women in Indonesia, we helped to recover traditional food crops and restore 2,800 hectares of land on Semau Island. Looking ahead, parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity will soon be finalizing the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. I'm optimistic that together we can develop a strong, renewed framework and this time achieve our biodiversity goals. We only need an additional $700 billion annually to achieve our ambitious biodiversity goals for 2030. That is less than 1% of global GDP and only a fraction of the $5.2 trillion the world spends on fossil fuel subsidies every year. Approaches which blend the traditional and innovative, such as the Satoyama Initiative, will play a vital role to chart a course towards a brighter future for people and planet. They clearly demonstrate how human societies can indeed live in balance with nature. In a broader sense, such nature-based solutions will help us to build the new development model that we all search for. One that recognizes the true value of nature that will help us to tackle climate change and advance human well-being at the same time. And ultimately to realize that greener, more inclusive and more sustainable future we all desire. Thank you.